Hello, I'm kind of creatively bankrupt this week, so let's make a quick tier list video. I'm gonna rank every single Ace Attorney case and give a few senses why I think they are where they are. This isn't meant to reflect my extensive thoughts, but it's just a general idea of what I think about each case. S tier cases are cases that I consider peak Ace Attorney and exemplify the best the series has to offer. A tier cases are really good and could be S with some improvements. B tier cases are good, solid cases. C tier cases are okay, nothing amazing, worth playing, but eh. D tier cases are not necessarily awful, but fail to deliver on something or some things that would make me want to recommend them. And F tier cases belong in the dumpster. Tiers will not be ordered, and this video will be timestamped if there's a case or a game you want to see me talk about. Anyways, let's get started with the very first game, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. The first turnabout is okay. It's a good first chapter that introduces us to the gameplay and concepts of Ace Attorney, but doesn't do anything particularly amazing. I like how it ends with the Thinker statue, which feeds into the second case, so we're going to put that in C tier. Also, I don't like the wording of mediocre, so I'm just gonna say, okay. Mediocre is kind of negative, whereas C, I'm trying to recommend it here. They're pretty good cases. Speaking of the Thinker statue, we have Turnabout Sisters, where the Thinker statue is used as a weapon to kill Mia. I wish Mia was developed a bit more to make this death a little more impactful, and the villain is comically evil, which doesn't really do it for me. It's a little plain, but introduces some of the most important characters in the trilogy, like Maya Fey, Dick Gumshoe, and Miles Edgeworth. I'm also comfortable with putting this in C tier as well. Now, Turnabout Samurai. Turnabout Samurai is mostly boring, but the series kinds of redeems it by making the Steel Samurai important in universe, but it doesn't make this case any good. However, I do like how Edgeworth is starting to realize winning isn't everything and helps you take down Vasquez, even pointing out contradictions in the testimony before you. So, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Turnabout Goodbyes is a mostly good case, but I feel like the transition between having Von Karma be the ultimate villain was a bit hasty with the letter in the safe. Why didn't Yanni Yogi just burn the letter like he was asked to? It's overall a really enjoyable and thrilling case, and Von Karma is a great villain, but I'm gonna put in A tier. It's missing a few things that don't push it to that S tier. Now, Rise from the Ashes. It's a really long case, and I feel like it drags on way too long. I think this case was very ambitious, but man, this case really gets boring at times. I also feel like this was the first case where I had to scan every single pixel of a crime scene to move on. Some of the characters like Angel Star, Mike Meekins, and Lana Sky are just intolerable. I'm gonna put it in D tier because it's not unfixable, but it's definitely in need of some work. Moving on to Justice for All. The Lost Turnabout doesn't do it for me. It's not bad, it's just nothing special. The best thing I can say about it is the music motif that appears throughout the case that is revealed to be Wellington's ringtone, but it's mostly just so forgettable. Reunion and Turnabout is a good case. It's a good, solid case. It uses spirit channeling to create an engaging mystery that makes you truly think about its mechanics. Here you can't channel Mimi because she's actually still alive, and Mimi has to actually impersonate her dead sister Eni to escape the fact that she accidentally killed 14 people and wants to hide that truth from everyone. And also I really like how Morgan Fay was moving very quietly in the background to allow this murder to happen so that her daughter Pearls can take Maya's place as the head of the Fae clan. It's just also shocking. It's a really strong case, but I don't think it's S tier worthy. I could be convinced otherwise, but I'm gonna put in A tier for now. Turnabout Bake Top is a case that I've made a video about, but I'll put some of my quick thoughts here. Most of the characters are annoying, the music is trash, the first half of the case sucks, the second half is pretty good. It's D tier. That's it. Farewell My Turnabout is a solid case, but I think Matt and Guard is a little too comically evil for me to put this higher than A. It's a really great case overall with some of the most memorable moments in the series, like talking to the killer on the phone and being forced to defend in guard, or searching in guard's house as Maya, or cross-examining the killer on the radio. I love this case a lot, and I wouldn't fault you if you think this is S tier, but this is my tier list, so I am putting this in A. Time for the last of the first trilogy, Trials and Tribulations. Now, Turnabout Memories is fine, but Grossberg should be less annoying. Playing as Mia for the first time is refreshing, and seeing a young, love-struck Phoenix Wright is cute as hell. I'm gonna put this in B tier, the first B tier case. The Stolen Turnabout has just too many loud and obnoxious characters, and how the overall mystery plays out is fine, but slogging through the dialogue kills me sometimes. I'm gonna put it in C. Recipe for Turnabout. Oh boy, do I put this in F tier or D? I think I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's not bad. It's not that bad. Like, I think the idea of a fake Phoenix Wright is really cool, and I'd love for the Cadaverinis to have mattered much more in this case, but the mystery is kind of dumb, and most of the characters and settings are really not it. So moving on to Turnabout Beginnings, and this is the first case that I want to put in S. It seems like such a simple case, but the intrigue, the mystery, the everything, it's so perfect. Watching a man, your client, die to protect such a horrible person is heart-wrenching. And Diego Armando, oh man, when he breaks that coffee cup, wow, it's an S tier case, there's no doubt in my mind. This is such a clean case that delivers the best Ace Attorney has to offer, and it belongs in S tier. Bridge to Turnabout. I feel like I'm going to get some slack for this one. I think it's just alright. It has some of the best build-up in the whole series and wraps up the game really well, but I have a few problems with it. Maya's in danger trope just doesn't cut it by this point, and the spirit medium stuff, it's silly, if not confusing. The pacing between the first and second halves are totally disparate, and Godot's plan, it's so dumb and ridiculous. It's a decent case, and I think the first half is A or S tier, and I just really like playing as Edgeworth and putting him in the defense seat, but the second half doesn't do it for me, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's time for a new era of Ace Attorney with Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. I once said that Turnabout Trump was my favorite case of all time, and I'd like to rephrase that, because now it's one of my favorite cases of all time. It's a very solid case that truly pushed the boundaries of what a first case could be and leaves you wanting more, in a good way. Is it my favorite? No, but it's still a really well-made case that challenges our conceptions about Wright's character, so I'm gonna put it in A tier. Turnabout Corner tries to do a lot with multiple incidents that connect, but ends up doing very little. It feels like filler and tastes like filler. It reminds me of Eldoon's noodles. Let's put that in D tier. Turnabout Serenade. Turnabout Serenade is bad. Maybe even the worst story-relevant case in the series. It's just beyond ridiculous that they thought a literal child could shoot and aim a massive fucking gun. The music video they forced us to watch 100 times is awful, and even the remastered versions keep it looking like garbage. Dargan is unfixably bad as a character, and man, this case is garbage. I like Lamoror though, and I'm confident. I'm confident this case belongs in F tier. Turnabout Succession has both some great moments and some spark brushel moments. Some things go nowhere, like the paintings in Misham's studio that depict Justice's cases. Some things go perfectly well, like developing Kristoff and Clavier's characters, and some things are spark brushel. I'm putting this in B tier. It wraps up Apollo Justice, the game, fairly well, but I wish Apollo Justice actually mattered in this case. It's time to step out of the courts and do some real investigating with Miles Edgeworth, Ace Attorney Investigations. Now, Turnabout Visitor. It's a decent case that doesn't do anything particularly special, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. Turnabout Airlines feels kind of plain for how cool this case could have been. I like the characters, especially LeBlanc, but nothing really noteworthy about this case for me to put it above C. The kidnap turnabout is flat out bad. The mystery isn't good. Lance, Ernest, Lauren are one note and really annoying. Mike Meekins and Wendy Oldbag return in this case and contribute nothing but pain, especially Meekins. Lang and his theories are beyond stupid. Kay is especially annoying, constantly prodding Edgeworth about how he doesn't remember her. This case causes me distress every time I think about it. I'm putting this in F tier. Turnabout Reminiscence is a great case with an engaging mystery that takes place in a familiar setting. The courthouse. The Swiss roll thing shouldn't have taken as long as it did, and I wish they did a better job at making Miles more like his old self when he was under Von Karma's wing, rather than simply a young Miles Edgeworth, if that made sense. It's a fine case, but they really could have done more with what they had. So I'm gonna put that in B tier. Turnabout Ablaze is a mostly good, engaging case, but drags on a little too long, especially after Alba transforms into his second stage. I really like the twist with Sheena, though, and honestly, I like most of the characters in this case. It wraps up the game well, for the most part, and especially does a better job with Oldbag in this case than in the kidnapped turnabout. So I'm gonna put it in A tier, though I could be convinced to put it in B tier, but I like it. Now, on to Investigations 2. I'm going off the fan translation because I do not speak or read Japanese. Turnabout Target is a decent first case. It doesn't do anything particularly special, so I'm going to put that in C tier. The Imprison Turnabout has a few too many false leads which ruin the pacing. The prison should have been a much cooler setting, though I'm glad we get to see all the characters early on so there aren't any Act 2 surprise killers though. It's a decent case. It's okay. I'm gonna put it in C tier. The Inherited Turnabout is such a fantastic case. Gregory Edgeworth is finally an actual character, and the idea of Miles picking up where his father left off is so touching. Maybe a little long, but still a stellar case with some very touching moments. I'm gonna put that in S tier. The Forgotten Turnabout is a solid case overall that really challenges Edgeworth as a character and questions where he stands and where he wants to be, not only in terms of a prosecutor, but as a human being. I wish Kay and Franziska were a little better developed as characters and that Blaze was more than a typical bad guy, but Edgeworth really steals the stage in this one, and it's a great follow-up to The Inherited Turnabout. I'm gonna put in B tier, but it's like a high B in my heart. The Grand Turnabout is, in a word, epic. Everything in this game truly comes together to deliver in this case. It's S tier, there's no doubt in my mind, it's fantastic. It's perfect, I love it. Finally, a new era of Ace Attorney as it moves onto the 3DS. And did you know that Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright was the game to herald this new generation? Well, we really started on the wrong foot here, didn't we? I'm gonna say that most cases in this game, bar one, are lacking at best. This game doesn't really do justice to either Wright nor Layton, and it's in my opinion the weakest entry in either of their respective series. There is one case that I do think is alright, and that's the Golden Court case where Layton is turned into a gold statue. That one is the most enjoyable. Not amazing, but it's worth putting in B tier. So let's stack these on. I believe this is the Golden Court one, and we'll just shove that there. None of them are F tier by any means. It's just not a good game. Next is Dual Destinies, and we can finally come back to this side. Turnabout Countdown is fine. I wish Arm was more of a character in a later case where this case becomes more relevant, but whatever. It's a C tier case, it's a tutorial case, and nothing more. The Monsters Turnabout is not that good. There are some really dumb parts about this case, but this case is a little too much of a mess for me to put it higher than D. I wish it was better because some of the ideas in this case are really cool. Turnabout Academy. It's not good. Like, very not good. A lot of these characters are so one-dimensional. I hate what they did to Clavier. The themes in this case make no sense, and the mystery is terrible. I like Robin and Miriam and Means' breakdown, but that's about it. The Cosmic Turnabout, it's fine. I'm not really a fan of Starbuck, but Cosmos is great. I like Aura Blackwell in the next case, but in this one, she's just not developed yet. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about this case, but I also don't have a lot of good things to say about it. It's very okay. It's mostly just build up for the next case. Speaking of, Turnabout for Tomorrow. It's a really good case and a really mediocre case. The mysteries were engaging and kept me interested the whole way through. Edgeworth's appearance in this feels super forced, but Pearl's is done with a little more grace. The build-up and reveal of the Phantom is well done, but after that, it's such a letdown as the main characters end up preaching about trust and friendship and blah. I love how Athena's earring is used to nail down the Phantom, which is a great moment in Ace Attorney. Overall, it's not a bad case, but it's not an amazing case either. It really has the potential to be something amazing, but as it is, I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's passable, it's good. I can recommend it. Oh yeah, this case had DLC. Turnabout Reclaimed. It's a solid standalone case. I used to not like it, but I think it's alright. I like the investigations a bit more than the courtroom scenes in this one, but yeah, it's worth playing. And the final breakdown is chef's kiss. So we're gonna put that in B tier. On to Spirit of Justice. I'll come back to the Great Ace Attorney so I can talk about the two games in order. The Foreign Turnabout does its job as a tutorial case, but feels like it goes on way too long, and not in a good way. It definitely overstays its welcome. I think it spends an hour explaining the setting and what it means to be a defense attorney there, and the trial isn't all that special either. The theft of the ore becomes relevant later, but this case is whatever. The Magical Turnabout screams filler, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Building on the Grimoire lore is fine, and I love Roger Ratins. The mystery is fairly engaging, and I'm glad Trucy actually gets to shine as a character in this one. I'll put it in B tier. It's a good case. The Wright of Turnabout was a disappointment. Not even in terms of bringing back Maya, since that was just nostalgia bait. Dad's testimony was agony, and the killer's motivation for framing Maya, especially when she was supposed to be a family friend or something, was weird and unwarranted. I do like Wright's conversations with Rafa. Those were great. It's a playable case, but it doesn't hit home like it really should have. Turnabout Storyteller is another filler case, but unlike Magical Turnabout, it's shit. Uendo is the best part about this case, and there's no contest about that. This case shows that they completely forgot that Athena was a character, and it's a damn shame. I'm gonna put this in F tier. Write a real case with Athena and come back to me. Turnabout Revolution has two parts. The first in Crane Village is enjoyable and helps build Dirk as a character, even if it feels a little forced because he's killed in the second act, which takes place back in the Kingdom of Crane. Rewriting Apollo's backstory again is fine. It's just a little unbelievable at this point, but it's fine. It's okay. It's probably the best case in Spirit of Justice with some really good twists, but lacks the sauce for me to put it in S tier. So it's an A tier case for me, and does the best with what Spirit of Justice was trying to do. Similar to Dual Destinies, this game also has a DLC case, Turnabout Time Traveler. This case felt like a last hurrah to bring back even more nostalgia bait, this time bringing back Larry Butts. It has the complexity of an egg noodle, and the mystery could have been so much more. It's not that it's bad, but it lacks the ability to tell an engaging story with the tools it has. It's a C tier case. It's okay. It's an okay case. Next, we travel back to the past, all the way to the Great Ace Attorney. The Adventure of the Great Departure is a good, solid case. Nothing super special, but it's fun. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band is, in my opinion, the second weakest case in the duology. Not that it's bad, but it's not particularly good. Susato gets a really heartfelt moment towards the end of the case, but this case is just so forgettable when it really shouldn't be. I'm gonna put it in C tier for now. The Adventure of the Runaway Room is a fantastic case. deceptively simple yet intriguing and exciting the whole way through. There really isn't a dull moment here, and Magilded steals the spotlight. Absolutely. This is an S tier case. The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro might be the most fillery case in the game, but that's fine. I think the investigation in this one is particularly boring, but the courtroom scenes, especially with Pat and Rolly, make up for it. I think Natsume is a big hit or miss character too. Personally, I don't think he adds much to the series. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I recommend it a bit more than 2, but it's like 2 does good things that are different than 4, but I think I like 4 a bit more. Next is The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story, and it's generally a good case. I think I always forget to present the ticket to Gredson to advance the story, and the idea of seeing things stereoscopically gets really annoying. This case really leans into the fact that it knows there's going to be a sequel a little too hard and doesn't end on a conclusive bang like it should have. Also, the people thing it's laughably dumb. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Finally, we're on the last, most recent game, The Great Ace Attorney 2. Wait, wasn't this supposed to be a short video? The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney is sinfully average. I wish they did more with Ryutaro's character and her dynamic with Rei. This case should have been something truly special, especially in terms of Susato's growth, but it's not. I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's a great concept, it's a decent mystery, but I wish it was so much more. Capcom, please make a game with a dedicated female lead. Come on. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro make The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro into something much more than it was. The avenging of a dead lover thing makes the mystery a little too obvious, but I really like Shamspear and the 2 B characters, so I'm gonna put it in B tier for now. Remember when I said The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band is the second weakest case of the duology? Well, the return of the great departed soul takes first place. Scythe had so much room for development as a character, but gets written out pretty much as soon as she appears. Also, the leap from scalpels to blackmail is a little too much of a bluff for me to buy, especially without additional evidence. And Drebber setting up a hot air balloon, shooting it from the ground, having the Watts figure fall where he wanted it, and having only one person notice, and then escaping the crime scene, and leaving the crossbow behind, it's a little too ridiculous for me. This case does have some good moments though, especially in Two Spells Wax Museum, also figuring out who Drebber is, and also solving the mystery in Drebber's lab, but it's not enough for me to put it higher than C. And come on, did you really think we thought that the Masked Man wasn't a Soji the second we met him? Come on. The Twisted Karma in his last bout can't be reviewed here without talking about its sequel case and the last case in the Great Ace Attorney duology, The Resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The first does a great job in setting up an expectation that this is a big case, but nothing huge, but then pulls you into the larger conspiracy going on behind the scenes. The second part brings it home and delivers on so much great mystery, drama, and characterization to end this duology on a truly epic note. Everyone is really at their best here, and the final dance of deduction is peak Ace Attorney, and brings together so many little pieces laid out by previous cases. It's just so good, and seeing Ryunosuke develop from the first case of the first game to this one is such a treat. I have to put them both in S tier. There's just no doubt. And that'll do it for this tier list. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comment section below. If you hate my opinions, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more bad takes. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.